Okay, hi everyone and welcome to the drive of the Vauxhall Corsa-e. So the first thing I'll do is put up the performance specs on this car. I'll put it into sport mode. There we go. And you'll notice that it's very similar to the Peugeot 208, which is bound to happen because they use the same platform. Probably the same motor, same torque, all that sort of thing. So it's nippy because it's a small car and it's got quite a fair bit of torque. So, and of course, electric motor gives you that instant sort of shove. That performance, you always need good brakes. So I mean the performance quickly. Okay, when I say that, I don't mean it's not sort of Tesla quick. It's around about 8 seconds to 0 to 60, and a 93 mile an hour top speed. So the brakes though have a nice. Yep, they're nice and progressive. And that step that sometimes cars have between the regen and the friction brakes sort of gives that initial pedal feel, like the 208, that sort of slightly spongy artificial feel. These don't, these are fine. And if I put it into B mode, which I'm not currently in, you will see if I slow down, you can see that we don't slow fully down. It sort of creeps to about 4 or 5 miles an hour. So it's not full one pedal driving, but you obviously get more regen when it's in B mode, but for the full regen effect, of course, you have to use the brake as well. The ride, okay, it's certainly a bit more fidgety than the Citroen was, but then pretty much every car is, bar a Rolls-Royce. So but it's not too crashy, it's not too hard, and it's obviously been set up for sort of road holding and dips and crests. So if I just it's got a quite impressive level of grip, which you wouldn't expect necessarily in a car like this. It's, sort of like almost a city runabout. You've got to be careful of here. There's some nasty bumps here. So, but in terms of potholes and nasty bumps in the road, it's okay. You can feel them, but it's not too bad. It's just on the right side of firm, I would say. And the steering is well, I'd say again it's quite nice and progressive. There you go, those are the nasty bumps. If I put it back into normal mode, if you put it in sport mode, it weights it upwards with most cars nowadays. Here it sort of lightens it off a little bit, but it's it goes where you want it to go, and there's some definite weight to it. There's some resistance. Okay, you're not really feeling what the road is doing too much, but it's a nice. Whereas with the Citroen, there was that sort of little bit of play around the sort of dead ahead position. Whereas this, if we, turns in quite nicely. So perhaps not as quick as the 208, not as darty as the 208 was, but nonetheless fine. And probably the final thing, if I can remember where I'm going, is talk about is the efficiency. So that's 184% at the moment. So if we have a look at that, we can see I've had this car for a couple of weeks now, done 338 miles, and it's averaging 4.1 miles to the kilowatt hour. And you can see my average speed there is 24 miles an hour. So in the UK, average speeds are much slower than they were in France, because there's a lot more traffic. So I mean, that's the same as the Citroen was, and today I think we're 22 degrees. I can't remember what the Citroen was when I did that drive and that, but I think it was fairly similar. Whereas I think when I did the Peugeot drive, and that was 3.5 miles to kilowatt hour in the Peugeot, that was around about 13 degrees. So of course in all cars, not just electric, but temperature, weather, road elevation, tyres, wheel size, all that sort of stuff will affect your efficiency. It's just we're a bit more concentrated in efficiency in electric cars because the range you have is it's starting to go up quite significantly now, but it's certainly less than, say, a big diesel or petrol car, perhaps more diesel, where you still can get 400 or 500 miles. So I think that's why people concentrate on it a little bit more. But yeah, the 208, strangely enough, despite the colder temperature, over a few journeys it was definitely less efficient than the Citroen, and this Citroen and this are fairly similar, which is surprising because the Citroen's a bigger, heavier car. I was quite surprised by that, and of course the stats or the specs that are provided in the walk around video, I was trying to remember the name video, was it would imply that the Citroen was the least efficient out of the sort of three cars. So I think that's something to bear in mind. And I'll also put a link to the walk around video in the description, because I sort of go over the styling, the boot, the specs, and the interior. So if you want to have a look at that for this car, then just click on that link. So a relatively quick one today, well, for a drive video anyway. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon.